The last game defensively, Marcus Oliver played a very strong game. Was our defensive player of the game. He had 9 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 caused fumbles. Played really good in the second half in particular. Tony Fields had a heck of a game. He was 8 for 8 in opportunities and 7 total tackles. Every time he had a chance to make a play, he batted perfect. Those two were our 2 best players defensively. Marcelino Ball made some plays. Really played hard with great effort. Let a few things out. Got to fit some plays better. Some balls got outside of us. We lost contain more than we had in any game. We didn't get off blocks as well and didn't tackle as well. And credit Maryland, they were a really good offensive team coming in, but we got to do better. Even though we had some glitches, we did. I know Coach Allen talked before. He talked about critical time execution. Whether it be the first third down, we get a pressure sack that takes them out of a 4-down territory, or maybe a possible field goal. Although it was end of the wind. I don't know if they'd have kicked the field goal from there, but with the sack caused them to punt. And from there, we took the opening drive down Greg Gooch's tackle on the speed sweep when it was 3rd and 3 on about the 12, 13, 14-yard line. It was holding them to a field goal. That's a 4-point play. Marcus Oliver at midfield on 3rd and 3 causes a fumble that goes out of bounds, but the lost yardage caused them to punt. They might have went for it at midfield if he doesn't make that play. Then his caused fumble that Marcelino recovered, and then Ashawn Riggins on the 2-point stop. Those are all 4 or 5 critical point-saving defensive plays, and when you're in a one-possession game, you don't make those plays. You're on the wrong side of the ledger defensively. But again, we got to play some better. We did have our 3rd interception of the year negated by penalty, and we did have several drives with an unsportsmanlike on Fant that led to a touchdown. The late hit was kind of protecting the quarterback, but not a hard hit, but the shot that Hoff had on the quarterback gave them one more play. So some of our penalties, first half, we jump off sides, we get hands to face on an interception. The next play, they score a touchdown. So through their touchdown drives, we had some critical penalties, and our discipline's got to improve significantly. Offensively, Dan Feeney played well. Outstanding game, 5 knockdowns, playing hard, back looking like himself. Ian Thomas at tight end, 5 knockdowns in 33 plays, graded really high, coming on at tight end, which is really helping our play. And I think our tight end and O-line play was the best it's been, which really helped the offense by a lot. It's the best it's been in a while. They had a great week of practice. Divine Redding was really good with 134 total yards, and Tyler Natee with 111 yards. Tyler was freshman Big Ten Player of the Week, and Marcus was the Defensive Player of the Week. I think it's the first time we had a defensive player since 2005, somebody said. So, and that was and it's the first time we had one in a Big Ten game, probably long before that. I think that was in a non-conference game. So, great credit to Marcus. Appreciate his efforts. Wide receivers played hard, but nothing special. Richard Lago, his best game, graded out extremely high. Was really great on 3rd downs, really great standing in the pocket. His best game by far. Offensively, the good start, the 2 drives early. Then we bogged down, drive 3 and 4 in the scoring zone. But that was good to see. 2 touchdowns out the gate, really got us going. The first 3rd down conversion, we didn't make our first 3rd down at Northwestern. Well, we drop a pass. We actually misconnect on the site. We didn't get that first drive going. We got that first drive going with just a little shallow crosser that Nick Westbrook had a 9-yard gain that got us going. That's a play no one remembers. That was a really good game that got us going because we hadn't gotten going a few times. So some simple plays were critical to the offense. They had no turnovers. Their 3rd downs were better. The rushing yardage was really good. Again, we still glitched some score zone opportunities. We've got some selfishness in some of our demeanor that needs to get cleaned up as we move forward. In kicking game, kick coverage wasn't good, 2 out of bounds. Our kicking game was very poor, which is not good. Didn't get much out of kick return. We only had 2 punts. One wasn't that good. Punt return didn't do much. We can impact the game there. Didn't. PAT field goal, we miss a hold at PAT, and we miss a field goal. So kicking ball was very poor. Offense player of the game, we had 3, Feeney, Redding, and Natee. Defense player of the game, we said already was Marcus Oliver. Again, both he and Tyler got recognized by the Big Ten. There's no special team player of the game. Scouts for Peyton Ramsey, who's doing awesome. Chris Gajic and Alex Rodriguez. Scout D was Andre Brown, Thomas Henderson, and Jake Attar. Going into Rutgers, they're coming off an open date. As they went through their coaching change, their record can look a little 2-6, not good. But they've played right now teams that are rated 2, 4, and 6. A couple of those games got away from them. They played 2 of those games on the road that are tough venues. One's long travel. The Michigan contest, which they played 4 weeks ago now. First quarter, they're 3 and out. Michigan playing after them, and then Michigan made a few plays and it snowballed. You watch the other games, and against Iowa, it's a 14-7, one-possession game. Their Illinois game's a one-possession game until a couple plays at the end make it 24-7. And then their last game at Minnesota, which I think is a team that's played as good or much better than we have this year. Last play of the game, Minnesota kicks a field goal to win the game, 34-32. They settled on a different quarterback. They're very good in the line of scrimmage, O-line, D-line. We have not been a team that handles success well. Going on the road is hard. Winning Big Ten games is hard. And we had some things Saturday, if we don't fix and take out of our football, will haunt us. So it'll be a strong challenge. And looking forward to a good week and seeing if we can get better and keep moving forward.
Have that killer instinct to get those tack-on scores to put them out of their misery?
Well, I don't know, how much you can score early or late if any game gets out of hand in college ball, with just the no huddle, kicking issues everyone's having. A lot of people are more aggressive blocking kicks. We got to do a great job in our kick protection this week and in kick cover. It'd be nice to start fast, which we didn't at Northwestern on the road. We didn't in an early kick, although I thought we had a good week of prep. We played 3 good quarters. Last week we came out and nothing, we didn't talk a lot about it except we just made a couple third downs early. We make the crossing route. We stand there and make a middle crossing route. We had a screen on third and something down here. We had several third down conversions that got us to the end zone. And so to me, and same thing defensively. We get a sack that caused them to punt, and we got a turnover. So we got some stops early last game, and we got some conversions. Vice versa, in the 2 previous games, the opposite happened. We didn't get the stop out the gate, and we didn't get a conversion. So it's execution. And again, I don't know if anything like last game, as well as we played, you get a few glitches, human error, and you don't play better disciplined football. You don't take care of the football. We did a better job last week of that. I don't know if no lead's safe. So as far as anybody out there misery, we got to get better. We got to get our kicking better. We got to tackle better. Our offense has been inconsistent, and we got to prove that we're a consistent football team and do it on the road. So getting off to a good start would be early. It could be good to get off to a good early start. But we also got to play 4 quarters because you don't win on the road if you don't go the distance.
Brandon Knight kind of exits.
Yeah, he got a leg injury that he's not going to require surgery, but he's going to be kind of gimped up here for a while. I don't know if he'll be going this week. So he's got lower leg deal.
As you watch film, Delroy Baker did, especially kind of having to go straight in.
He did good. We ran for 400. He did all right. Like Bailey did good when Feeney wasn't there. We got 85 scholarships.
Has kind of allowed him just to step in a situation like that. What about his development has allowed him to kind of get to this point?
Well, again, I'd say guys like Diamont, you're in a world where sometimes you get down, you get selfish. Those kids, those are 2 guys that haven't played probably as much as they would like. They both played a lot the other day, but they've been pretty good teammates. And you're in a world where selfishness is kind of easy and individual needs and your things are, those have been pretty good teammates. It was good. I mean, Greg's coaching him hard. He's been here for a while. We'll have big Devondre Love can play out there. Feeney's played out there if we need it. I mean, there'll be, we'll have 5 guys. But it was good for Delroy. And that's why, again, patience, working hard, getting better. Our team needs to get better this week. And I think it's a credit to Delroy. I mean, Delroy had a solid performance. He can do better. He's not as good as Brandon Knight. That's why he wasn't starting. At the same time, too, everyone around him, like Ian Thomas playing better and Danny Finn playing better at tight end helps tackles. And so, it's one thing for Delroy to come in, but anytime, your time of year where every team's got injuries and guys have to continue to pick it up. But it was good to have Delroy come in and play well. He's gotten beaten out. He practices. He's just not in the mix.
Kevin, to get the kicking game right, do you have to change up some things in terms of the personnel, or just coaching better, or they just need to respond better?
A little bit of both. I mean, it starts with coaching, what you inspect versus expect, what you enable guys to do, and then you got to get the right kind of guys out there. Time of year where you take a little bit off your linebackers covering kicks, you got your backups in, they better do the job. And those kick transition plays are hard. So I mean, kicking has not. It didn't hurt us the other day. It just didn't help us. It was disappointing. Kick 2 out of bounds. 1 return was to the 35, except they had a holding penalty. So our kick cover team, which has actually been through the years kind of decent, has not been well. Our field goal protection and our hold has been off this year. That needs to pick up. Punting's gotten a little bit better. Not great, but better. And we got to make something in the return game.
Rutgers has had coaching change, and you're not going to maybe learn that much from last year's film because of that. But just last year's game, you had a lot of guys that played in that game last year. Just emotionally, does that resonate this week at all?
Nah. It's like, you guys, what do you got to talk about? All the guys that don't play and are hurt, everybody wants to deal with the negatives. We're dealing on, we got a really good team that's trying to get better, and it's this week. You know, and we let that one get away with a kicking blunder and a couple turnovers in the fourth quarter and letting plays out. And, you know, that one's, you know, we didn't even, that's the first actually I thought about when you just brought it up. We were just looking at them this year and us this week, you know, for what it's worth. I mean, it's not a revenge. There's no, I mean, you know, to me, every year, every game, every team, every week's different. So, I mean, it's just like, hey, here's where you're at. Here's your injuries you're dealing with. Here's some things that are working or not working. Here's some things you got to improve on from coaching or player development or I mean, you're kind of just in the present, you know, and here's where it is. I mean, I think our football team as a whole learned from that, but I don't think that has anything to do with this week. I think we learned from that while past and kind of went on past it, I think, you know. And maybe a kid's mentioned it or a coach has mentioned it. In my scouting report, we talk about their team this year, this week. That's all we dealt with.
You mentioned Marcelo Ball a little earlier. Just kind of how have you seen him progress this season? He seems like he's not a guy who's hitting any sort of freshman wall right now.
I mean, he's good. You know, neither's Coy Crunk. You know, and if you think about it, you got Ashawn Riggins, Coy Crunk, and Marcelo Ball. Those are 3 freshmen that are playing 3 of the hardest positions in college football and one of the hardest brackets of college football. So if you want to say a guy that played, what was that division, what's that division here, 2? When he's at Lafayette Catholic. And now he's playing left tackle in the Big Ten East, starting every game. When you're on an island and you can't hide against some of the better players in college ball, that's not an easy task. And to come up to work every week like he's done, it's been impressive. You got Ashawn Riggins out there where you can't hide. We're playing one-on-one, and Marcelino gets out there one-on-one, and the way we do some things coverage, he's got to support the edge, support the run, and one-on-one. And all 3 of those guys have been very impressive in their talent, but I think more than their talent, just they're kind of mature kids. You know, they don't get rattled. Marcelino, they're, you know, great families, very, very well-educated families. You know, they're very mature for their ages. I mean, they were groomed as young kids to kind of be men, and they can stand out there in a man's game as a young man and mentally process and not make the game bigger than it is. I mean, I've been impressed with those guys. They're freshmen in our freshman class that probably have more skill than those guys, but those guys are more grown and they're more complete and they're playing well and they're playing sometimes better. They're more grown than some of our older guys. It's just with their maturity and the way they go about their stuff. Those are 3 really good players. Marcelino is awesome. He's a big-time player. And those other 2 guys aren't far behind. They ought to be freshman All-Americans and all that stuff. They're pretty legit, to tell you the truth.
What the way Marcus Oliver plays, it leads to these forced fumbles. I mean, he's broken the record. He's still only a junior.
Yeah, I mean, he goes for the ball. It'd be nice to have more of them do it. You know, I mean, the one play, you can see him rear back and just on the one that went out of bounds. I mean, he's got a knack for it. You know, you talk about tackling the ball, noticeable. We did give up a touchdown with one of our DBs went to tackle the ball instead of the guy on their one long run. And so there's a fine line that, but, you know, we practice it. We practice in drills. We do it today. We did it today. And the giveaway, takeaway deal is huge in winning games. So I know Coach has emphasized it. I know he'd like to have more. I know he's disappointed that penalties have taken away turnovers. And turnovers are huge, but Marcus has a knack. I mean, he's good. I mean, he's got an eye. You know, I'd say, like, you know, it's easy when you're playing sports that you visually get distracted a lot. I think he's got his eye on the ball a lot. I don't think he gets distracted. And that'd be interesting, something to ask. I mean, I think, you know, Fish knows in golfing sometimes you watch the club instead of the ball. You visually get distracted and it's just sitting there. I think there's a lot of moving parts, and I think Marcus has, everybody talks about a nose for the ball. I think he's got an eye for the ball. And I think he sees it and is pretty uniquely gifted there. I don't think it's luck, because this happened a lot. Happens a lot in practice, too.
The way you ran the Wildcat this week, how much
Very little. We've been doing it some because we always do like a zone read option period, and we've always used Tyler as some of that just to handle the ball. He's naturally, he played quarterback for 2 years. He played at one of the better high school programs in the country. He played in crowds a lot larger than the one we had Saturday, a lot of times in high school. So he's used to being in front of people, playing real-time football, and being the guy. So, he handles the ball really well. And so we had always done power read and zone read plays. We wrinkled some of those things up on Monday because Maryland did a fair amount of that with Perry Hillis and their running game. We actually went against each other and we were getting looks for us, but we were kind of serving the defense. And the nature of the opponent allowed us to do that. Sometimes when we do stuff like that, though, my experience says I put a lot of time on that. Like that first snap, West don't snap it on time. Thankfully, they called him for being in procedure because he snapped it over his head. Because my experience says I spend a lot of time doing those wrinkles, and then we don't do them in the game, and you have a poor week because you end up doing a lot of things you don't practice because you practice the wrinkles. So we were able last week to go off some banked reps, and he being a great quarterback of handling that. And then from that, it was subtle wrinkles of normal things we do. And then we were able to go against the defense because Maryland was a little bit of a running team that did that, and that helped. That then helped us keep our passing game and our third down game sharp. And we were good except for the scoring zone being sharp. So the timing of the way last week's practice, the opponent helped us because we had some crossover work that got us a lot of reps that even helped sync it up. Because the credit was the kids. And the wrinkle was okay, but the credit was the line and the tights. The best of tight ends that played, and it was the best line and played in a long time. And so when they do their stuff, you can scheme up anything, but when you don't block people, you got problems. And we hadn't blocked. Now, we had played some strong defenses, and no slight of Maryland's, but because I think they're in about the mid-50s in total defense. But we played some decent defenses. And so, but anyway, there were some bank reps there. What was it, Brad?
Can you continue to use it?
Yeah, we'll see. You can. It's a fine line where you get too cute and you get too much. But we got to find a run game. We got to do something to run the ball. And I really felt with our offensive line, and Divine coming back, and Danny Friend, you can run some normal stuff. And then in some of those weeks, our base stuff, we didn't run block it very well. And we didn't get a run game going. So it was just trying to jumpstart the run game. And now that doesn't really change. Our offense is still the same offense. And to me, we've always played a personnel. We're a little bit different when Tevin was a running back. We're a little bit different when Jordan was a running back. We're a little bit different when Shane Wynn was in slot. You're a little bit different when Teddy Bowles is tight end versus Danny Friend. You always played a personnel and what guys can and can't do. But that's a unique group, and we'll find ways we can. I couldn't have told you last week we were going to do it a lot or little. I had no idea. And because you really don't know. You just get in flow of games, and all of a sudden, you kind of ride some hot hands. I thought the way we transitioned back and forth was good. The credit was the blocking. The credit was the kids executed. That was it.
Fun is it to plan stuff like that? Do you guys ever just say, okay, I don't want to say whimsical or something, let's try something new, something different, just to see how it works? Do you do that a lot, or you try to just stay to the basics?
Oh, you got to stay basics. I have, all I do in meetings is think out loud a bunch. And I got a lot more thoughts than we ever get to. Just stupid stuff, just throwing stuff. How about this? How about this? How about that? How about just look at this guy? How about here? Because then what you got to do is you got to center it back down and not get too much because you got to be able to execute it. So we throw a lot out there every week. The kids would tell you a couple weeks ago, like, hey, man, don't do too much. Just let's go play hard. There's a fine line. And so, like I say, last week we were able to do it where we relied off some bank reps that we had. We had some crossover practice, and we were able to do some things where it didn't get heavy in preparation. So you didn't feel weighted down. You didn't feel loaded down. And going forward, it'll be interesting because, again, you can get, way too smart, way too cute. You got to find some answers. Again, the run game, though, it struggled. The run-pass game, it struggled. We'd gotten one-dimensional. And we're the broken offense is a lot better when you can run it. And last week we did.